All right, y'all. Magnum Supreme here. Today, I'm bringing you guys a video that I'm really excited to be making. Today, I'm making a video about a silencer, if you could tell from the title. There's a silencer that I've been wanting to get for a very long time. I've been watching them from the day they came out, and they had a ton of major issues, which I'll get into at the beginning of their lifetime. But since then, Resilient Suppressors has fixed them, and I'm really excited to get to shooting the suppressor. So let me grab it for you. Today, we're talking about the Resilient Suppressors Putnik. This is a basically one-to-one on the outside clone of a Zenitco Putnik silencer. They're made in Russia, used by a lot of Russian special forces. It's a semi-flow-through design, so it decreases a lot of back pressure on the system, which if you don't know anything about AKs, you really get a lot of extra back pressure whenever you add a silencer, especially a traditional baffle stack style of silencer, like a Dead Air Wolverine. For those of you who have those, you can get in the comments and let us know your experiences. I know a guy personally who has a Dead Air Wolverine, and it's basically beaten a couple of his AKs to death from overgassing, even with a K&S piston installed. That being said, I decided to go with the the Resilient Putnik. If I call it Zenitco, don't get upset, okay? It's a Zenitco clone, a Zenit clone, except these ones are actually pretty decent. Now, if you followed Resilient Suppressors in their journey with this thing at all, you'll know in the early days, whenever they first released these and were like sending them off to gun tubers and shit, it's a sealed can. It's you can't take it apart. It's internally welded. And what was happening on a lot of the early cans, well, I shouldn't say a lot. I've only ever seen it happen on one on video. But some of the internal welds would fail over time with a lot of stress, and the can would basically break and shoot off the front of the gun right here at the end cap, or at the rear end cap. That's not good, but supposedly Resilient has fixed their welding shit, and they're good to go now. Let me show you guys some of its features. Like I said, it's a semi-flow-through design, and unlike the Dead Air Wolverine, it does not have a steadily increasing size of the baffle holes. It's a 30 caliber all the way. It doesn't assist with barrel concentricity or anything. If you got a wonky barrel, this probably might not work for you. Check it with an alignment rod. That's the only reason I don't have any rounds through this suppressor yet, is because I'm waiting on my alignment rod to come in before I use this, because I'm running it on my Saiga, which I'll show you in just a moment. And Saigas are known for having some wonky barrels sometimes, so I'm not even going to risk it. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and screw her up onto the gun, because from the factory, out of the box, it comes with an adapter that direct threads onto 24 by 1.5 right-hand threads, which is the standard thread pitch for AK-74s, AK-100 series, a lot of Bulgarian AKs. So it comes out of the box configured to work with a pretty wide variety of setups. You can see here, this is my Saiga. No muzzle device attached, as you can see. And this bitch threads right on. One major downside of this suppressor that I can already tell that I'm not going to like, unlike the Dead Air Wolverine, it does not use the AK muzzle device detent to secure it. This thing is only secured by how tight you can screw this motherfucker on. And I've heard on other YouTubers' videos that one major issue they have is that this bitch likes to walk off on long range sessions. Now I'll show you how it mounts up. It indexes off of the face of the barrel. And if you don't know what that means, don't worry, I'm going to show you. So on a Saiga or anything with these kinds of threads with 24 by 1/2, you'll notice the threads itself are not attached to the barrel. This little part in here, sorry, let me point with some pliers. This little part right here in the very center, this is the barrel. As you can tell, that little circle outline, that is where the the front sight and gas block are pressed over the threads. On this style of AK, the threads are attached to the front sight block, not to the barrel. So, these kinds of suppressors, they index on the face of the barrel. If you feel it, you'll notice it has like a 1/4 millimeter hangover from the threads. So, what that does is gives this little silver ring on the inside somewhere to index against. This little silver ring here on the inside of the silencer is what's indexing on the front of the barrel. So basically, long story short, you have to crank this motherfucker down and you have to make sure it stays on there. Now, as I've said, I don't have a single round fired through it yet, so I really don't know how that's going to work for me, but I'm going to fucking wrench that motherfucker on there. It's about 20 ounces, I believe, a little over 1 pound. A little over 6 inches long, I believe 6.2 inches. But as you can tell, it magnifies the drip by a factor of infinity. This has been my first initial impressions and review of the Putnik silencer. Please stay tuned. As soon as my suppressor alignment rod arrives, I will be making a lot of videos about this thing. Stay tuned, guys. Magnum Supreme out. God bless the USA.